Hello and welcome back to Traffic Talks. If you are new here, my name is Pyro, and if you aren't, welcome back. In my podcast, I talk about things going on in my life, from my goals to my hang-ups to anything going on around us, usually with a lesson learned, a few tips that can help you along, and a lot of laughs in each episode. So if this sounds like something you would enjoy, feel free to keep listening, subscribe so you don't miss an episode, and to see what I'm up to, you can check out my Instagram page linked below. Firstly, let's just get the admin out of the way. Yes, I'm a week late. Yes, there's valid reason. My sister is actually busy with her matric ball for this year, which in and of itself is an achievement, a miracle, and a whole bunch of other things. But as per usual, like I said in my Instagram post, Murphy's Law tends to hit when you don't need it and the floodgates have opened up. From appointments that have just taken 6 hours, I mean that literally, to having to drive forever to get to places for appointments that take 3 hours, to having to run out of the house on a Sunday to buy last minute items and ending up sick with a stomach bug, which is never fun. So I'm currently sick to the max recording this episode, which, yes, thank you for remembering. I did record them in advance. However, everything was thrown by the wayside. Murphy's Law, technical difficulties. I lost the recording. And I was in the process of editing it. So here we are, starting from scratch. And because of that, I'm just going to summarize basically what this episode is about, because I think everything happens for a reason. And this episode is actually about World Mental Health Day, which was on Sunday, the 10th of October. And having all these things happen in quick succession can take a toll on a person's mental health. It's something I advocate for whenever I can, especially around days like these. And I'm definitely not someone for toxic positivity, which is something I learned recently. Because yes, it's all good and well, but I don't shy away from the darker side of my issues. I've spoken openly about it in a very recent episode, because that is what it is. I'm not putting on a front. It's literally my life laid bare, because I am not someone to shy away from the difficult things. Yes, this is under a pseudonym, but that is for work purposes, if you can understand what I'm saying. Anyway, my point is that mental health is something that can take a dive off a deep end, especially when things like this happen. So I'm basically just gonna ramble about it for a short while, because I've been trying to keep these episodes short and I am batching, so this isn't the only one I'm recording today. That said, the theme for this year's World Mental Health Day is mental health in an unequal world. And this theme shook me to my core, because over the last 2 years, specifically focusing on COVID, mental health has been at the forefront. Even the Miss World or Miss South Africa, I can't remember exactly which one, they said in their speech that ended up, I think, causing them to win the title, ended up being mental health. Yet COVID hit and they had to change up everything that they did around their campaigning and their reign and things like that. But they could have done so much more. And one of the presenters of Trending SA actually mentioned it. And she was like, everything has gone online. She, as a radio presenter, works from home. So if she can do it, there's a whole lot of things this Miss whatever could have done to advocate for mental health and do something about it. Especially with her title, it brings clout that she could have used to do something. And the fact is, it was a well-known thing, so her message would have gotten out there. She just didn't. And obviously there are probably circumstances we don't know around it, and for that I 100% understand, but a lot of the time there is more that we can do. That said, a lot of times exactly what the theme is 100% true. Mental health is not equal because the world is not equal. There are a lot of places that are really good about mental health and other places that are absolutely poor because they don't even have basic infrastructure, let alone something as high class as mental health. And that is absolutely terrible, because if you are in a bad space, literally, your mental space is also in a bad space. And those are the people who need it the most, because it's not their choice to be born into the circumstances that they are. They are just there. I'm not gonna read off the stats, but it is abysmal. The fact that people who need it can't afford it. People who have mental disorders, they are in the lower income bracket and cannot afford the services they need, which starts a cycle, as you can imagine. And then the countries themselves of these people do not help. So once again, it's a vicious cycle. There's also other things such as the stigma and possible discrimination around mental illness. Yes, sometimes large companies do understand, especially due to COVID, that working from home can cause issues for some and actually improve others who do have mental illnesses or mental health issues, because you never know how things are going to affect you until you are in the thick of it. But the fact is, because of those very reasons, it can actually impact their job, their future career, or even their education. Because if someone has difficulty now and they are in high school or university, how is it going to affect them actually reaching the next level of their education and going out into the workforce, which will then obviously affect their future, their family's future, and just have a rollover effect once again. COVID has brought about a lot of positives, but then again, it has also brought a lot of negatives, especially in the financial sector of everyone's life. And with the mental health being what it is, it's made it plummet even further. I did speak last year on how to take better care of your mental health, but like a lot of these things, it's a personal learning curve for each and every one. For some people, their finances may have suffered, but it encouraged them to pursue something that they wouldn't have actually done, and they're actually in a much better place. For other people, it's actually just crushed them and put them in a worse position than what they were. That is something that they need to figure out how to deal within themselves. Like I said, stigma can be a big thing. I always speak about my therapy and journaling and introspection, and that works for me. Other people who may come from places where therapists are stigmatized and, oh, you're crazy if you go to a therapist, or why are you writing or talking to yourself, that kind of a thing. That can be a huge issue. And for each and every single person, there is their way, even if it is similar. So I always encourage figuring out what works for you. Some people may need therapy and journaling and introspection and a lot of other things, and other people may just need to journal and call it a day, or maybe even just call a friend, vent, and then be done with it. To each their own. Like I said, I'm going to keep this short because I'm kind of frustrated that I've recorded it and now it's gone. But to end this off, with mental health being what it is, we need to take it into our own hands and start from us. We are the ones that perpetuate the stigma or help squash it. For me, my mental health needs meditation, which I use the Headspace app for. Not sponsored, you know this. It's just a really good thing. I journal, I meditate using the app, sometimes without the app. I occasionally see my therapist. There's a lot of things that help me. This may look like something else for you. It might be gymming, it might also be journaling, it might be something completely different. As long as this form of therapy for you doesn't harm yourself or others, go for it. Whichever way you interpreted it, I hope that you take some inspiration of it to actually take time to focus on your mental health. For me, focusing on the future and trying to plan for that does help me. So I'm looking forward to the end of the year, and that just already puts me in a good mood. So let me know what you guys are thinking about for the end of the year. For the song of the week, it's Head Above Water by Avril Lavigne. So one, just take a moment to appreciate it. Like, it's a brilliant song. Secondly, the album the song came off was insane. And thirdly, the story behind how she even came up with the song is just inspirational. She did an interview on the Zach Sang show. He interviews a lot of musical artists and things like that. So basically she was just going through an illness at the time. I can't remember which one it was. And she needed to, quote, keep her head above water to survive it. So that's what she did. Even if you relate to a tiny part of the song, listen to it. It is amazing. That is it from me. Short, a little bit frustrated, but sweet, like me. If you enjoyed this, leave a comment down below and tell me what you thought about it and what your plans are for the Halloween season that is upon us. You can check out my Instagram down below, and as per usual, keep being a better being. Love you. Bye.